Now we proceed to divide the polynomial you see here by x squared. And the process in this case is simpler than it is when we divide by something like x minus 1, as we'll do down here. Okay, well, x squared goes into 5x cubed how many times? Well, if you divide 5x cubed by x squared, you can factor out an x squared in the numerator, and that'll be divided by the x squared in the denominator, give you 1, and you end up with 5x. And whether you understand that or not, this divided into this is this, because as should be very obvious, 5x multiplied by x squared is 5x cubed. Now our goal, of course, is to reduce the power of x and eliminate the highest power in every expression that we encounter. So when we subtract the 5x squared from the 5x, we get 0, leaving us then, well, we bring down a negative 4x squared. Okay, well, x squared into negative 4x squared is what? It's negative 4, because negative 4 times x squared is negative 4x squared, which we put here. And then negative 4x squared minus negative 4x squared is 0. Remember, we're subtracting this from this. We're not adding the two negatives. And the fact that you have a negative and a negative can be a little confusing, so let me just jot something in here along the lines of something I already put in down here. And this is where people make mistakes. I make mistakes if I'm not very, very careful, if I try to do a long division. Remember that we're subtracting this from this, so what we have is negative 4x squared minus the negative 4x squared we have here, which is the same then as saying we have negative 4x squared plus 4x squared, because we haven't written the minus here, but there is a minus before the negative 4x squared. Okay? Now, having done that, we get 0. And then once we get 0, well, we're not going to get any lower powers of x. And we stop at that point because we want to express this quotient as a polynomial, and a polynomial doesn't have any negative powers. If we were to go on and divide 3x by x squared, we could do that. We would get 1 over x, or x to the negative 1, and 1 over x, or x to the negative 1, is not a term in a polynomial. So we want to divide a polynomial into a polynomial and get a polynomial, but then we're going to get a remainder. And in this case, the remainder is just the 3x minus 9 that we haven't dealt with yet. So we have 5x minus 4, remainder 3x minus 9, which can be written, as we know, 5x minus 4 plus the remainder 3x minus 9 divided by the divisor x squared. Just analogous to the fact that when we divide 7 into 59, we get 8 and 3/7. 8 remainder 7, 8 and 3/7. 8 remainder 3 means 8 and 3/7. Okay, so again, 5x minus 4 remainder 3x minus 9 means 5x minus 4 plus 3x minus 9 over x squared in this case. Okay, now let's go on and do one that's got at least one wrinkle in it. It was fairly easy to do this one here because we just had x squared, but now we got x minus 1. The process is going to be the same, but we have to follow it in detail. So let's see. Let's divide x into 5x cubed. What do we get? We get 5x squared. Now, when we multiply 5x squared by x minus 1, of course, we're going to get two terms, because we've got two terms here. We're going to get 5x squared minus 5x squared. Okay? And that's all right. The 5x squared and the 5x squared, let's subtract off, give us 0. So now we're only dealing with squares. Well, now, we have negative 4x squared and a negative 5x squared. Remember, we have to subtract this line from what we have up here. So what we're actually doing here is we're doing 4x squared minus our negative 5x squared, which is the same as then negative 4x squared plus 5x squared. And when we add that, we see we get x squared. So, avoiding confusion in signs by making whatever notes we need to, we see that we get x squared here. So now we have x squared plus 3x. dividing x into x squared, we get x. Multiplying x by x minus 1, we get x squared minus x. The x squared goes away, as it must if we've got the right quotient from dividing x into x squared. So the x squared subtracts off, but then we have 3x and negative x, and we have to do 3x minus negative x, which is the same as 3x plus x, giving us 4x. So now we've got 4x minus 9, and we can still divide x into what we've got without getting a negative power or a reciprocal. X into 4x gives us 4, and 4 times x minus 1 is 4x minus 4. 4x subtracts off, and the negative 9, we're subtracting negative 4, which means we have to add 4 to negative 9 to get negative 5, and I haven't written that one out. Okay, so now we have a remainder of negative 5. So our division gives us the result 5x squared plus x plus 4 with a remainder of negative 5, or 5x squared plus x plus 4 minus 5 over x minus 1.